Hello and welcome into So Rare with Laird. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdino on So Rare. Talking today about the 4 seasons of So Rare. And as weird as it sounds, we are currently in the best season. At least I'm in the best season in terms of the actual, weather calendar. But man, it is the worst one for So Rare. And we're going to talk about it because that's what we're going to do. Thanks everyone for coming in. Stefan, Rude, Cherry Blossom Season is my favorite. It's a good one. And Dobbsy on the podium. Congratulations to you three. Andreas here, fourth, or is it multi-entry? It's not multi-entry. Jack Daniels, hello. Is this what podium feels like? Jack, I don't think that's a podium. We had Stefan, Rude, and Dobbsy on there, so I think you just missed. Mikey Baston, what's up? Mortz, thanks for coming in. Taylor, first time live. Hey, let's go. Let's go. Oh, speaking of let's go, assets and sports. Let's go, Laird. Yeah, thanks for coming in, Taylor. And thanks for saying hi right away. Big up to the lurkers out there as well. Funny, Jack Daniels is now reminding me, this episode is sponsored by MFL. Metaverse Football League. If anyone is unaware of what it is the best football management game I've ever played. Now you're going to be sitting there like, well, you never played Football Manager. Yeah, I didn't. So what? Still, MFL, absolutely love it. I have an entire channel for MFL content. It's called MFL with Laird. Go check that out. If you're interested in playing MFL, there's a link in the description of this video. Get yourself started. Spend $25 in the store. Get a free common player after you use my referral link. Obviously helps me as well. Immediate disrespect for Sorare MLB. Not really. We're talking football today, Mike. But I guess you could use Sorare MLB to get you through the summer. But anyway, this is what we're going to talk about today because I was talking to, I'll just say who it is. So I was talking to Harry. I talk to Harry every day. And one of the things that Harry and I have talked about recently is basically how difficult it has been to create Sorare content. And I say that after, I think it was, one of Haber's latest video about other games he's playing, because he's kind of like, he doesn't think there's enough to talk about with Sorare. And when this channel is kind of set up to talk about Sorare as often as possible, I was about to say every day, and I know I took Friday off, and sometimes I just do other, I'll do an MFL video instead of Sorare. But we're all here to talk about Sorare, or at least to use Sorare as the reason to hang out. And this time of year, today is May 19th, 2025. And I was actually looking ahead to next weekend already, just to figure out like what cards I had and whatnot. And it was like, oh, League Un's over. And we're starting to get to the point where, like the season's over for the European seasons. And everyone who watches this regularly knows that I'm like a contender boy, and contender will continue. Although, to be honest, the contender cards that I use for contender also take a 2-month break. So Argentina is basically done until July, and Liga MX, the Liga MX extended in-season cards finally came to an end. I mean, we have some playoffs now, but that's almost over. And then we'll have to get new in-season cards in July. But this is like by far the slowest period of the Sorare calendar. And I know we have the Club World Cup coming up whenever that is, June, July. And I'm sure there'll be some international matches over the summer, but it's super slow now. And Harry and I talk a lot just about the content side of things and what we're going to do, what we think we should talk about, or what people are talking about, and whether there's enough for a show there. And we'll be back tomorrow talking to each other about, I actually have a topic in mind, but the way that Sorare kind of works now with the in-season and classic, they've really kind of made it from I don't even want to call it a yearly game, because it just kind of like kept going. And it's now very much a seasonal format. And the problem when you have a seasonal format is at some point there's an off season, and Challenger and Champion, and then obviously like the Prem, La Liga, and Bundesliga are going to be over if they're not already over. And then it's just kind of waiting. And with the way that and I hate to call it the new Sorare because it's been clearly a full calendar year, but there's nothing you can do now in terms of getting cards for next season, for in-season competitions for the next season, because they're not available yet. And Momo, I believe, was it Momo who said it? Yeah. I was I talked to Mark, Simo, and Momo on the Make It a Double Double podcast last week, and Momo was like, "No, we're not going to like move up the early access cards. They're probably going to be the same time as last year." Which for Challenger, Jupiler launches pretty early. Superliga in Denmark, we'll probably get those early-ish July, and then Eredivisie, I think, starts kind of like when the big five champion leagues do. I don't know when Turkey starts, probably later too. But anyway, you can't get in-season cards for next season until July at the earliest, maybe August. And again, it's May. And everything we're playing now, even in classic competitions, we're winning cards that have effectively minimal utility, if any, at this point. If you win a League One card this game week or this coming weekend, no, this game week, no, yeah, you'll never be able to use it in an in-season competition as an in-season card. Now, I'm not here to say like that's bad. I think it's perfectly fine, and we all know that that happens. And it basically happened previously. Like we winning cards this time of year never was like overly exciting because you're like, man, I just won this card and now I have to wait 3 months to use it. Now, being able to use it in regular competitions, once the new season started, is very different than what we have now. But ultimately, there was always kind of a lull this time of year. And it's accentuated now with the in-season competitions because you can't use the cards that you are winning. And it really feels like they've run out of all the good cards, which makes sense. Although it's funny, one of these things that I feel like they get credit for and then get blamed for. It's like nobody's winning exciting cards right now. And then somebody won like the Musiala unique the other day. And they were like, well, why did they wait so long? And it's like, well, do you want exciting rewards at the end of the season? Is that too exciting at the end of the season? And so you'd rather it earlier. And, we love to complain. But I was thinking about this as I was talking to Harry, which most of the conversations that Harry and I have about Sorare content are literally just like, what are we going to talk about now? And, we get there. Eventually there's something to talk about. And to be honest, I have like 3 or 4 topics that I'm going to kind of start to explore this week, or at least a couple of them this week. One of which I think is going to be a members only show because I don't think it needs to be broadcast everywhere yet, unless everybody joins the Patreon, in which case then that's fine. But yeah, patreon.com/Andrew M. Laird. There's going to be at least one video. I don't think it's going to be a live stream, but discussing something that happened over this past weekend. And it's actually something that I've been meaning to discuss for quite a while. And it seems like now is the good time because, again, there's really not a whole lot going on. And so the way that we are thinking of Sorare now really is, and that's why I called it kind of the 4 seasons, because I do feel like the calendar is split up in a bit of in quarters, essentially. And I don't know if they're necessarily, let me rephrase. I think the schedule is really split up into 4 sections. I don't know if they're equally long. In fact, I know they're not. And so unfortunately, we're kind of in I describe this as Sorare winter, which is funny because it's almost summer for me, but shout out to everybody in the Southern hemisphere. But the end of this season, and I'm going to keep using season just to follow the traditional European calendar because that's basically what Sorare is doing now. But I hate the winter in real life. I hate being cold. I think snow can go, well, I'm not even going to use the words that I want to actually use, but I love the summer, in the real summer. And the summer obviously starts with, for the Sorare summer, as I described as the best period, is the one where we buy our early access cards. Like that's the best part of it right now. And so the preparation leading up to that is the most exciting part of the game. And basically the 4 periods are basically the early access cards that we have to get to compete in in-season competitions if we want to compete in those competitions right away. And then the fall is autumn, if you will, is kind of like when we get to use all of our cards and we start really competing for all of them. And then there's this kind of second part of the season. I think it's very clear that using our card, if you happen to buy all your cards in July and August, using them in August, September, October is just more exciting than November, December, January, something like that. The holiday period always gets a little weird. It feels like there was a Celtic game on like every single game week. And, but it also felt like there were a ton of cards that weren't in play. And then maybe, depending on how you played Champ, Serie A was 1 week, Ligue 1 was another, Bundesliga took a month off. And it was just, it's a weird period that is definitely different than kind of that first 3 months, let's call it. But then once we get out of that, the kind of mid-January to, I would almost call it now, but it probably started 2 or 3 weeks ago, is kind of that third season of, all right, second half, we get all these promos that'll make us want to buy more cards. And, we get the J League, K League, and MLS launch, which doesn't really fit into this calendar, except that for people who want to participate in those competitions, sometimes we'll sell like European cards in order to fund those new purchases. But then we get to this dead period right now, where it's like mid-May to mid-July, let's call it, or I'll even say early July. And I'm sure that Sorare will do all they can to make the Club World Cup as exciting as possible. But if you don't have the cards, it's just going to be really difficult to feel like you should be buying in-season cards for a 1 month tournament. Some people will do it, absolutely. And I'm sure they'll have some promotions for limited cards because they still have enough runway, it feels like. I don't know if I've seen any limited cards in the 800s. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've seen some rares like in the 95 range. And so obviously they're running out of those cards for the season, which is fine. We're at the end of the season, but it's this period right now where like this is Sorare winter to me, which is funny because it's quite warm where I am and I'm in short sleeves, but it's winter time for me. And it's boring. This part is boring because we're just waiting. And I think like the show that Harry and I did last week, like the top U23s, and U23 doesn't have this in-season model to it, so it feels a little differently. But even if I wanted to like plan ahead for Champ next year, if I'm trying to do it for in-season, I basically can't. I can figure out like which cards I want or which teams I want to focus on, which collections I want to build. But if you can't actually build them and you can't buy the cards, we have no idea how much these cards are going to cost. So even budgeting makes it really hard. Like, what do you do now? And I think that's part of the reason why some people are starting to play other games, because it's like, all right, well, I have my Sorare cards. I'm not adding any at this point. So I'm just like, the whole Sorare experience is just setting your lineups. And, with that comes, checking lineup projections and making sure you're up to date on injuries and suspensions and all of that. But there's so much more to Sorare than just setting lineups. But right now, it feels like that's all we have. I just talked for a long time, as if I don't like talk the whole time here, but I've been ignoring the chat, so apologies for that. Let's see. Rascal Misaki, spring and summer is awful with how in-season makes the typical European cards worth nothing. Hate the seasonality now. Yeah, see, I don't even care about the worth nothing. Like, they're not worth nothing. And I also think, I just think focusing on values is just not worth it anymore. Genuinely. And that's not like a pun that the cards aren't worth anything, but it's just not the way that I generally think of it. Now that I'm not saying that's right, but I struggle to kind of equate or what's the word I want there? I just struggle to appreciate that feeling because I just don't feel it. I've gotten to the point where after I buy cards, the only consideration I have is how much can I win from these cards? And I can't remember the last time I looked to see like what my card, like what I could sell like my better cards for, because I just don't think of it. And maybe part of that is because I've had some success in season and have kept a balance. And so I'm not necessarily looking to sell all my cards in order to fund the in season. And I actually kind of feel like that's proof that I had a successful season, that I am sitting on a balance and I was able to hold on to it. And did I give up some potential opportunities, where I had a good lineup and I didn't add whoever? And maybe I think basically the reason I didn't do a lot of that stuff meaning like buy a card for a specific lineup or for a shorter run of form, is that I just wasn't confident that I'd be able to make that money back in that short time frame. That there's so much variance when it comes to football and so rare contests anyway, particularly with, I mean, certainly at this part of the season where DNPs are coming up all over the place, were completely unexpected. Shout out to Ezekiel Barco, but it just never felt worth it. And so I didn't kind of degen into these cards. I don't know if it's degen, but I'll call it that because I didn't do it. And instead, it felt like I have a fairly successful season because I had a lot of in-season cards and I have a balance going into next season. And I don't even know if I'm going to use it. Like maybe I'll look into selling all my cards and using that to fund it. But yeah, I don't know. Just the figuring out, like knowing that cards are worth nothing now. I just don't know it. I don't know. Robert Kramer, looking at other fantasy games, what would you implement to make the game more fun and better for content creators? Just bring boxes back, man. The moments, so this actually came up in the stream last week about football.fun. And that's a game that I know a lot of sober people are starting to play. And one of the things that Adam brought up was were making sure that they had enough moments of fun. I think that was the phrase he used. And I apologize if he didn't use it. If he didn't use it, I would like to take credit for it. Right now, I'm giving him credit for it. But I think So Rare right now is missing a lot of that. That we used to have it with the card reward, winning cards, and the card reveal was really fun. And when we had boxes, when you could win cards in boxes, every box had so much upside. And right now, it's like the upside from boxes is essence, which can be cards, and that actually leads to the basically the only moment of fun on So Rare right now, which is crafting a card and getting something big. And I'm describing these moments of fun as situations where you are doing something with an unknown outcome. Whereas like winning cash, yeah, that's fun, but you know it. There's no, adrenaline rush of just seeing your balance go up after a game week. And so I think, and I don't necessarily think boxes have to be the only solution to that, but I think that the biggest thing that So Rare is missing right now are these moments of fun, and that helps content creators. Like moments of fun help content creators, because if you do have one of these huge hits of, I crafted a tier 5 and got whoever Mbappe, that's a moment that can be created into a video that can be shared on social media, and that's all content creators want. I tend not to do that kind of content myself, mostly because I don't win that much. But I think that that's the biggest thing that people are kind of missing at this point, are these shareable fun moments that can resonate with other people and give them the idea of like, oh, I didn't know I could win that. And you only needed 20 essence for, it's like people want to be able to see the fun moments, because that gives them the vision of themselves having these fun moments. And that's why we play games, to have fun. Ede said FIFA doing their best to fill the summer months with football World Cup and expanded team World Cups. Yeah. Although aren't we like 2 World Cups away from being back in the winter? Sorry, I'm like a couple minutes behind, but Mike said this used to be a very rewarding time, planning and getting things in place, sometimes ahead of transfers, but it's irrelevant now. Most things will be done and dusted by the time you can do anything about it. So I will say that the transfer window is still like quite dangerous. In fact, I would even argue, sorry, I'm trying to fill up my water here. It's actually not water. It's this stuff. Sorry for those listening. A little ASMR. A little bit. There's almost like more danger now with in-season cards in the transfer window, because the one I immediately think of is Lucas Stassen, who I bought as a Westerlo card because I thought he was going to be really good with Haspelat this year. And I started this like mini Westerlo collection, which now saying out loud just sounds so dumb. But he transferred to Saint Etienne and was terrible. Oh, actually, I take that back. He ended up doing pretty well for them. But like that was a big risk. I was going to use it for Challenger, and then he went to Champ, and I didn't even play Champ at the time. And so it's almost worse getting ahead of things now, because you almost, like the least risky thing to do now is wait until the transfer window is closed. Obviously, you're waiting to play in season competitions at that point. But so like Mike, I feel like the planning is still there. The problem is, sorry, the problem with the planning is that it's budget irrelevant. And I don't want to say that nobody has a budget, but the problem is we don't know how much these in-season cards are going to cost until we have to start buying them. And so, you could say, oh yeah, I want Mbappe and Jude and all this. And you could have a budget in mind. And then when that budget gets blasted through, what do you do? What do you do? And Mike's right. Hit the like button, please. Sorry, I'm going to pour this cup. And I left my mic unmuted just in case people like that sound. I don't know. Flipping MLB cards is where the fun is now. Brought to you by Market Credits. Yeah, I've done this a couple times. And yeah, it's fun. I mean, you could do it on the football side. Well, I guess, it's much harder on the football side, I'll guess. But we're in this, so this slow period of Sorare is like, what do we do? What do you think? To be fair, I think I made my first Sorare Twitter post the other week after my first SO5 win. As you should, Mike, as you should. But I'm curious kind of like what Sorare thinks we should be doing now. Like they have all these promos that make us want to buy cards, and they're obviously going to be encouraging us to buy cards for, I guess for MLS, J League, and K League, but maybe it's, yeah, that's all they can realistically do. Although they did do the Argentina get 5 essence for buying cards, and it was just weird because they were like, make sure you're prepared for July when the league comes back. And they are the only league, I believe, like the only currently in season league that like takes a break and will come back. So theoretically, like you could buy now, hold them for 2 months, and then get use out of them. River Plate, who's obviously one of the licensed teams, are in the Club World Cup, so they'll be able to, you'll be able to use those cards for that as well. But the thing that I keep going back to is like, what do they want us to do now? Sorare. Like, what do Sorare expect their users to do now who play Challenger and Champion? And if the idea is, finish your collections, or that's all I got. Genuinely, that's all I have. And I think what would be really beneficial to, I don't know let me rephrase. I have no idea if this would be beneficial to Sorare, but it feels beneficial to users. But you guys know, I'm a collection guy. I like collections, and I have a number of 2024, 25 collections that like I would maybe finish. I didn't realize I was second here for Midtjylland, mostly because I thought I was third. 33 cards. So it's like, I can't even. Oh, right. That's funny that they don't have a button to. Anyway, so like I have 5% at Strasbourg, but like I'm Tigres. No, I don't want to do that. I'm trying to look for like here, Napoli. Like I would maybe spend more to finish like my Napoli collection. Let's see, what does it cost me? So these are guys that, how many cards are here? Doesn't tell me. Let's see. Let's add these guys to the cart. So $22 in order to get this collection up to 4%. Actually, it doesn't seem so bad, to be honest. Huh. I was today years old when I found out Noah Okafor played for Napoli. But also like $5 for these cards each, $6 each, feels a bit outrageous. And maybe they're better off just not selling me these cards. Lowest price. Yeah, $5.94. I'm not going to spend $5.94 for a bunch of cards I'm not going to use anytime soon, if ever. But it also means I'm not buying cards now. And maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fine. But that's the only thing I can think of right now that would make me think make me think of buying cards now. I got second in Bundesliga in season limited, and I'm now wondering if that cash is enough to build a decent gallery in rare next season. $900. The problem is we have no idea. Genuinely, we don't know. And I don't think looking back at the prices from last season are going to be of any help. Back in the day, you could buy old season cards to plan for the next season. I'm stuck with 35 euros of market credits and I don't know what to do with them. Yeah, I think ultimately you're going to either watch them expire or you're going to use them on a card that you don't really want, which probably means that's what Sorare wants us to do, buy a bunch of cards we don't want. And maybe I should buy these 4. I got to clear my card out or else I'm going to accidentally buy these cards. Clear cart. Yes, clear it. So sorry, I cleared my card now. I don't remember what I was going to say. Andrea said you could get the best classic team, but in season you're looking at 1 good team or 2 decent teams. That's for the 900. It's funny. I was going to do a show. I might do it tomorrow with Harry, just looking at like what the best classic teams for. Well, I was going to focus on Champ because I like Champ, and like how much does that cost? There's one Champ card that I considered buying, and I don't know if I'll buy it this summer. It's a classic. Well, obviously it's a classic card. So we'll see. I don't know. But what are we supposed to do now? Like open our common packs and I mean, I guess the answer is play J League and K League throughout the summer for reduced prizes because they're the only 2 leagues in contender going, and MLS. And he said, I think buying a best team in Classic is bait though, because you're always behind in XP. And of course, people have the best players maxed. That's fair. But again, like the way to play that then is to not run the same lineups as people who are maxed out on those cards. You have to become more creative in the lineups that you create. And I think that's fine. I think that's the best way to play, actually. Like buying the best cards and be like, yeah, here's my best Bayern stack. Like, just don't play that way. Or start scouring for jersey mints of classic cards. I bought a classic card this past game week. I bought a Jordi Alba, who is absolute dust, but I was like, oh, the matchup's good. I spent like $18 on a classic card. I couldn't believe I did. First classic card I bought in forever that had nothing to do with a collection or anything. And I did it so that I could make this lineup. I had Brad Guzan home against Philly. Home against Philly. And the Sam Junqua was the only classic defender card I had left. And then I had Carlos Heel, Irving Lozano, and Messi. And I was like, I can't play Sam Junqua. So I bought Jordi Alba, who was a AAA pick score. And Alba is just dust. Although he had a big chance created. So maybe that's actually quite good. Quite good for no decisive. And then Carlos Heel had no decisive too. Chucky, did he have like a big chance missed? He had a big chance. Man, we were close to one. Hold on. That's 2 big chances created. No, Gil didn't have one. Did Messi have one? He missed a big chance and had a big chance created. That's like 4 unsuccessful big chances. Alba isn't dust. Miami or dust. Maybe they're saving it for the Club World Club. Who knows? So, yeah. And then I had this lineup. I'm currently 3rd in Division 3 because of my Orlando stack against Miami. Shout out to Federico Bernardeschi. Look at that captain, 100 captain. Can't ask for much more. But yeah, I think the key is just playing differently. Like I said, Andre said the single league comps don't have that many teams, so you will need 1 differential. I still think that 5 teams, like 5 players stacking from the same teams, even in single league comps, is not the optimal way to play. Isn't playing MLS in Asia what we used to do though before in season existed? The only issue now is playing it that way. The only issue now is playing it the way we used to is for dog shit rewards. So I don't think, like, I'm part of the reason that I stepped back, Mike, I'll tell you exactly why we don't do it the same way. We used to play MLS in Asia because we knew that the cards that we had from Europe could be used again in the same competitions that they were always used in. And now we have to make the decision, do I buy J League and K League and MLS cards, or do I hold on to my money and spend that later? And we never had to deal with that, which is obviously why the platform was headed to zero. And so the problem is that we almost don't have the incentive to play MLS or Asia, or it's just riskier because if we're not successful, then those funds that we were holding on to for the next European season, where previously we didn't have to buy new cards, and now that we have to buy new cards, we have decisions to make. Do I want to keep playing in the summer with J League, K League, MLS, or MLB? Or we don't. Goose said, some of my in-season cards have actually gone up in price recently. Do you have a clue why this could be the case? Carreras from Benfica is my example. And apparently he's linked to Real Madrid. So that's why. And now I'm like curious what that means. Meaning, how much did he really go up? So like the rares, a classic rare was 27. And the latest in season is 62. So like the volume is still quite low, but yeah, and the limiteds are going up too. And he's U23, so it's kind of like we have like players just like this. Carreras, yeah, Antonio Silva, like young guys like that are they almost have the same, not the same utility, but as U23 players will be able to, like buying I guess you buy, I don't know why people are buying the in-season as opposed to the classic. Like he has classic cards, right? Yeah. Had no idea he was Alvaro Fernandez. How about that? But it's all just circumstantial, I was going to say circumspect, but that's not the word, obviously. Mike said, sorry, what I meant to say is we can still play the same way, i.e. not buying new cards, is playing classic, which has the bad rewards. Yeah, we could. They're still effectively buying a classic Carreras apart from U23 status. Yeah, although I would argue that I'm guessing from a collection standpoint, buying a Benfica, like I'm guessing, I don't even know what team this is. Is that Getafe or Granada? Excuse me. Apologies, Sam Tai. So yeah, I'm guessing more people are interested in a Benfica Carreras than a Granada one. Mikel, I was not going to say circumcised, but thank you for your comment and not lurking. So yeah, people are speculating. How about that? But who says they will even play at their new clubs? Good time to sell for me. I'm not complaining. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the case with any potential transfer. That's part of the game that people play right now, but it just doesn't feel as rewarding as it used to be. It almost feels much riskier. Excuse me. Sorry, I think I unmuted as I drank. People who like to speculate on transfer windows, that's fine. But it's one of those that if you think Carreras is a great play and will play regularly at Real Madrid, which seems a bit nuts, then yeah, why buy now? Robert Kramer said, but also Angel Correa, from Atletico is rising because of his upcoming Tigres move. So the best thing you can do during this period is trading and building up a budget for next season or play common. I love that people think that he will be good in Mexico. That dude is awful. When does Celta Vigo Bamba become classic? He plays in MLS now, do you know? Yeah, so his current Celta Vigo card, like his current season one, will be good until 11 days before the next La Liga season starts. So August 1st ish. Bob said, I miss the days of second division only comps. That's how I know I'm old. We didn't have second division only, did we? Maybe we did. Yeah, I guess we did. So old that I can barely remember them. I sold in season Anthony Rare just before he moved to Betis. Ah, Mike. Do we believe Angel Di Maria will play somewhere? I have two of them. I don't know. But the market remains absurd. This is Zhao saying this. If a player has ties to a Russian club, MLS, China, etc., the price goes up a lot, and it doesn't even need to be a done deal. I think what the funniest thing about the Russia thing primarily is, and I guess it happens to China too, but it feels like the level of player that goes to China is lower than Russia. But because of how good Barco's been, and there are other players that have gone to Russia and just smashed, but I think he's like the outlier, but everybody looks at that and they're like, oh, let me just get the next Barco. And I don't think we have one like that. Like what was his name? Was it Santiago Solari or was it a different Solari who went there? Pablo, excuse me. Santiago Stiller. Like Pablo Solari and everybody, like, let's see this price graph when he went to Russia. Yeah, like this huge run up, and that's rare. So, but like a limited, I bet. Yep. And so all these like, oh man, he's going to Russia, and came from the same team that Barco did, River Plate, and he's at the same team as Barco, and he's like been, Earhusen signed for Utrecht, yeah, and then got a red, or was it a red card yesterday, or error led to goal, whatever it is. He decided to murder my lineup on the way out. Yeah, he started one game, Solari. I'm not saying he won't be good at some point, but I don't know. Bob said, that's all I ever won back when Leeds were smashing with Somerville and Rudder. Oh, yeah. That's right. They were smashing. They were on Looking Up with Laird. Sorry, I took a sip and then one of the ice cubes fell out, and then I had to chew that. For those listening, you're just like, oh, I didn't need to know that. But for those watching, I felt like I had to say it. So, Zhao, I want to go back to this. Like, the market is crazy because if a player goes to Russia or MLS or China, it's really not that many cards is the problem. Like, we will look at a chart that like, oh, it's going up. And it's like, yeah, there were 17 cards that sold. And I'm just not sure that's like enough to get people to start speculating on things. But maybe it is. I don't know. I can't decide if this is like a good time to buy. Like, prices are really low, but that doesn't mean they're not going any lower. What happens when you get all your classic champ guys now? That's what I'm thinking of trying to do. Like, I have champ in season cards right now, which are losing. Some of them are already. Andre Santos is done with his in season-ness, and he'll be my classic card. And Mortz is like, this used to be the best time to buy. Totally. And now the upside just feels so limited, not to be confused with the limited scarcity. But the upside of buying cards to speculate on players right now, yeah, it just feels super risky, I guess. Andrea said, I think the next 2 weeks will be pretty good. I started buying cards on dips. I don't know, man. I'm struggling to see. Not that I struggle. Obviously, I think there are opportunities, not financial advice, to buy good classic cards now and sell them for more in July and August. Like, I think just coming into the season, people get excited. And some people don't want to play in season. They're like, oh, I'll play classic, and then they buy our classic cards. I'm just not sure how lucrative it can be. And it feels like the downside risk might actually be higher than the upside. You're not speculating if you're buying proven players, they will still have value. Like some, sure. But I mean, just because the risk is lower doesn't mean it's not speculating. I have the Excel sheet ready for you in August. Yeah, Andreas, like, um, yeah, Andreas. I've spoken to him. He's Lounge Trader for anybody who hasn't put that together. But you're right. I feel like there are so many times where you send me a screenshot or like a spreadsheet, and you're just like, hey, remember when you said cards don't go up, and then you're like, here's 50 that went up. Um, so maybe I'm not giving it enough credit right now. If Andy Black can buy a Carlos Seal, I'm sure you can find things to buy. Goose said, just buying 10 Ricardo Peppers, Laird, I will 90% guarantee you profit. If you could guarantee me 90% profit, I'll buy them. I think this is still a decent time to buy. People are far too dismissive of classic cards and comps. But Charlie, that's the problem. If too many people are dismissive of it, then who's buying the cards when we want to sell them? I picked up a Pohang Steelers limited classic collection a few months ago for the summer. Most players were like 0.0002 ETH. I mean, ETH was really low then. So I don't even know what that means. How successful has that been? Not very, but it's fun to watch. What are we even watching? Andreas, we will see, but we're looking at players that are 10% of their classics start of last season that have scored well. 10%. So you're telling me someone like, I don't want to use Mbappe, but like Vinny Jr. He's always popular. You're telling me Vinny Jr.'s classic card is 10% what it was last year? So May 20th, $667. And right now, 117. So what makes you think this trend doesn't continue? I guess that's what I'm struggling with. As we add 84 more rares to the classic conversations. The smashers are not quite, but some are. Yeah, just Andreas, give me an example and we can look at it. Charlie said, I'm talking about buying cards to be able to win next season. No need to worry about selling, just getting a discount on what they will likely be in 2 months or so. Yeah, I think that's fair. Carer. But I think this is an unfair, and I think the problem is that I'm going to poke holes in almost everything you choose. But if you look at a year ago, like let's can I hate that it does this. But like Kara was much better this season than last. And so I think part of the reason his price goes up is because he was better. Like a year ago, his classic sold for $48 and now he's 10. Nine months ago, I sold classic smashers for great prices. Goose, do you think you can do that again? I got them for $5, 3 of them. I'm not sure. So I guess my problem, my question though is looking at these charts, and maybe you're going to throw this chart right at me here, that there was a little bit of a increase. Well, not even a little bit. Yeah, that was a decent increase. But again, I think part of this is that he ended up being a very good player. And when you were buying here, he was not that good. So your expectation is that he'll go up. Look at any MLS card. Classic cards of. So it was like here. Why are auctions showing up? Oh, I guess, yeah. He needs to go from $5 to $10 to 100%. Yeah, I guess my question is, why do you think a Care Classic will be $10 again? Like, obviously, people are buying him for $10 now, and maybe this is just a really good buy that you had. Wonder why that didn't show up. Oh, this is an in season. Now you're just showing off. But I see what you're saying. Nick Pope seems like a good example. No change of situation, increase nearly double from June to August. Yeah, I think. Wasn't he hurt? Let's look at Classic. Here we go. So in June, he was 280, and in July, he was 400. And then then he got hurt, and he's a huge drop. Yeah, Andreas, I see your point here. And you're focusing more on like Kara, I don't think is not that he's not like a household name. He's like a Sorare household name. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe we should start speculating, not financial advice. Maybe we take the next few weeks to figure out who the next carer is and just buy them up. But kind of my argument here was like this: you were buying, like you were getting him cheap here, and then anytime this happens, people buy. Anion's all in on Kelleher. Excuse me. I think Kelleher can be huge. Should move to be a number one somewhere else. I mean, anytime a goalie goes from not playing to playing, he's going to be more expensive. I just do not think classic cards are 10 to 20% of their value last season, if less. Meaning they shouldn't be worth that. Like you're recognizing that they are worth 10%, and you think they should be worth more, which is fair. Which is fair. He sold for 45.50 for his good scores. Well, sure, but so that's sort of what I'm trying to get at, though. Why do you think he can go back to being a $50 card? But you're not. You're saying he goes back to a $10 card, which fine. Let me take these out. So this is January, what, 2023? I don't even want to include that. Let's look at this one. So January 2024 until now. I just need him to be 10 to 15. Buy 200 of those cards and you're good. Charlie said, may as well buy a number one. Kelleher is priced that way and may not be number one come next season. Not specifically care. Yeah. No, I wasn't expecting 200 carers. That's going all in. And the only reason why I'm entertaining Andreas here is because he's shown me he was right previously. That in just this situation where somebody's like, Classic is dead. And Andreas said, I don't think Classic is dead. And I was like, sorry, man, you're wrong. And he's like, okay, I'll see you in 3 months. And then he sends me a screenshot and I'm like, shit, he was right. As he tracks everything. And you're not going to hit on all of them. Like for every carer, there's going to be somebody that you buy a couple of for $10 and then it doesn't work out. But you don't need to hit on all of them. Just like our lineups. We don't have to win every single, like not every lineup has to win every single game week. Some game weeks you win in contender, then you win in challenge. It's like That's the benefit of having multiple lineups because it gives you more shots of winning when one doesn't work out. All right, Andreas, you got me. That's what we should do now, apparently, is find the next Tilo Carer and just buy a bunch of them. Buy 200 of them. I don't mean buying 200 Carers. I just mean 200 players like Carer. As Andreas said, not specifically Carer. I apologize if that's not how you say his name, but I don't know how else you would say it. Carer? 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 Yeah, I'm just going to keep saying Carer. Just to speculate for Saudi coverage, I lately bought some of the best ones there in rare. I'm out on that. That's a hard no for me. It's funny. There was a tweet that I saw. I don't even know who won the league. Did Ali, whoever won the league? They were like, it's where Benzema plays. Because Al Ittihad, excuse me. I think Al Ittihad won the league. And I saw like that they won it. And there was a graphic. And I was like, I don't know who plays on that team. And then I saw Benzema and I was like, oh, I know Benzema. But it was one of those that I'd spend zero time learning the Saudi Pro League. But that was one where I was like, this team is the best one. And I couldn't name a single player on the team. And then when I saw that it was Benzema, I was like, oh, that's Benzema's team. And then I don't know who he plays with. I'm just pulling it up here so we could look. Fabinho, okay. Conte. Is that it? Looks like Benzema wasn't even that good. So Benzema, Fabinho, and Conte, and Luis Felipe. I don't know. But congratulations to them. A lot will also become clear with the June update, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, that's all we want. Jeff said when Ustari was sent off in March, Miami's third choice goalkeeper went from 2 to 18. At most, he would play 1 or 2 games until Ustari returns for suspension. Yeah. But like that, those are giving you cheap opportunities for in-season keeper on what many thought was the best team in the league. That I think that's a totally different situation than what we're talking about here. And I believe the update is going to come the first week of June. I'm pretty sure that's what Momo said on that Make It a Double Double podcast I was on. Go check that out too. It's nice to hear from people at Sorare. So yeah, Make It a Double Double. It was me, Mark, and Momo. And I'm almost certain he said early June. I don't know if it was the first week, but I'm pretty sure he said early June. And for now, we just wait for whatever the update is. But I feel like the ceiling and vaults are definitely going to be included. They're obviously arena is going to be a big part of it. We just don't know what they're going to do about it. Like if it'll be different than what the arena is now. I know Andreas loves himself an arena, and yeah, that's it. We'll see. When I think energy is not going to be included. So I think the big question that everybody is going to really be looking at is, will there be classic cards allowed? Oh, and streaks. Will there be classic cards allowed in season competitions at all? And they seem to be really high on streaks, and I'm guessing the streaks will be you need 5 in season cards to do it. They said thresholds were going to be there. That was from the Nicola AMA, but other than that, I don't know. We'll see. The big one will obviously be prize pools and how they are going to distribute everything. That I think there's some concern that the prize pool will be the same or lower than last year, and that they'll use vaults to kind of make it higher so that it kind of matches last season. And I don't know how the community takes that, to be honest. Last year's number was $15 million. They were like, we're going to pay out $15 million this season. And I think I hate to say it, but I think if the number is below that, people are going to be upset. Whether they I can't tell anybody if they should be upset or not, but if it's under 15, but they're like, hey, if enough people vault, it could be 18 million, stuff like that. I don't know. Oh, speaking of making a double double, there's Simon. I hit my third streak in MLS this weekend, 1 game week late. Yeah, well, you got to keep going so you can reach the 5. I don't even think I got to 5 to the second this game week. 3. Oh my god, 348.94. Team C. Oh, I had no idea I was that close. 348. That doesn't say anything. Gallese, Freeman, Luna, Paslich, and Izuni. Oh my god. Captain, anybody else? And I'm there. Did I get promoted? Yeah, I did. I mean, I was never playing Gallese, Freeman, and Paslich against Inter Miami expecting that to hit 350, which just goes to show how crazy MLS can be. Andre said with streaks, it'll also be more difficult for them to give the number, especially if it plays a big part. They can have estimates, but not more than that. So I think what they have to do is give a minimum. And the biggest, like, I don't want to call it an issue, but the biggest job that like Momo and Dan have is explaining to people why the big number is not as big, if that's the case. And that's their job. But just like, yeah, we reduced the minimum from 15 to 10, but the reason we did that is because streaks could pay up to 20 million or what, who knows. And so I don't know, we'll see. Gary said, where does Arena fit in your priority list on a weekend? If you had a small, medium gallery, would this change? I only played limited Arena this game week. And part of it is because just the way that I play, like I have 200 limited essence right now, 123 rare. This is becoming like the fastest way to get essence. I don't think I won that much this game week. 87. Did I actually win 87 essence? I won 59 rare essence. Oh, from MLS. 59? How did I win 59? It was this absurd lineup that I had. There's 50. So I won 9 essence somewhere. I don't know. I really like the Arena. I just am struggling to like dedicate rare essence to it because I'm basically saving my essence to craft, but I understand as weird that sounds because it's like, oh, but if you just gamble a little your essence, it could go up a lot. So I don't know. I haven't really figured it out. I played Messi in Arena this week just for fun and because it worked the previous week. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Gary. I would play Arena more. Like it's one of those that I almost feel like I would play Arena over the regular competitions classic if I didn't have to like stake essence. Obviously, the risk is not risk, but the stakes are higher to get more essence. So I think it's just if you have Arena is just a very different game. It's a cap mode, which in itself makes it much more difficult for a lot of users who just want to buy the best cards and slam them into lineups. And so maybe they don't participate because they're like, oh, this is too hard. And I think the funny thing about with Arena is because you need essence, I think fewer people are just throwing it away, meaning like, oh, I'll just put my leftovers in the Arena. But I do think that there are more people who play rare and super rare who happen to have limited essence will put just like crummy lineups in limited arenas because why not? Andre said the Arena is good, but if you want to play it, you also have to be willing to prioritize it. I think that's the right way to. I mean, I think that's the case with anything. If you want to be good, you need to put the effort in. And there are strategies in the Arena that work. Andreas has seen one of his strategies work quite well. But it's not the only way to do it. But Andreas, I don't want to speak too much about how he's been playing, but it's good. Lord Echo, cool name. The summer transfer market is always an interesting period for me, and with So Rare, it got another dimension. So I don't fully agree that this period is boring. We're not even in the well. I guess we're technically in the summer transfer window, but that's fair. I just don't think it's as exciting as it used to be. That's all. And maybe you haven't, Lord Echo. I don't know how long you've been on So Rare, but it's like it's just different. That's all. That's all. DJ said, for me as a limited player, the biggest news will be number of divisions for next season. If it stays at 3 or less, I will either quit or try to move to rare. Huh, that's interesting. Why? Why quit? Because there are 3 divisions. I think the bigger thing they can do with divisions is distribute the in-season cash differently. Meaning avoiding that 51st through 750th winning the same thing. Yeah, it feels good for the people in 750. It doesn't feel good for the people of 50th. That's all. Yeah. Don't tell them that. They won't fix it in limited then. I think 5 in limited was fine. I think it was weird that I think it made sense for rare to go to 3, but but going to 3 in limited. DJ said it's too much competition. When we had 5 divisions, being in Division 1 was so much better than it is now. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Like you're actually looking at it from the D1 side, not the D5 side. I don't think it made sense from the perspective of there's so many more managers in limited and putting them in the same number of divisions as rare where there are fewer players, fewer cards, just didn't make sense to me. But it's not enough for me to not play, obviously. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. You guys got anything else? Sorry, I just gotta. Anyway, I thought 3 in rare was worse, so can only imagine 3 in limited. I think 3 in rare for the most part is fine. I haven't had an instance where I'm like, man, this would be so much better if it was 5. But in limited, I do because it's just so many people. It just feels like we're playing. So it's funny that way. It feels like sometimes nobody's playing, and then you get in a competition, you're like, oh, there's 8,000 people here with 20,000 lineups. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that's all. I think that's all I got today. Single league is good with 3. I think champ, challenger, and contender should be 4. Interesting. I don't know if I can like contextualize the difference between 3 and 4 in terms of like how the game would play differently. Presley, completely new to So Rare. Any tips, etc.? I want to start off with about $20. Firstly, welcome. $20 is what can we get for $20? I would. This is going to be really difficult advice, and this is actually advice that Jordan Cooper, who I used to stream with about daily fantasy sports, that you will be so much better off waiting and figuring out a way to turn that $20 into $100 and using that. And I know that sounds and maybe 100 is more than it needs to be, but I think that with the way that Sora plays now, I'm not sure how far $20 goes, and you might be better off doing something else to earn more money and then using that money in the game. And I'm sure there are plenty of people who are like, oh, you can totally, like, you could play for $20. Sure. If you want to buy a bunch of players in leagues you may not know anything about, and players that may as well be on MFL, and you don't care about that, that's cool. But the example that Jordan always gave was like, go get a job at McDonald's for a few months and use that, save up that money, and then use that to play. I would not put it on roulette, but yeah. Annie said you can buy MFL packs and resell them. If you do that till the summer, you can get a good amount of money together for free. That's a good example. Yeah. But you can realistically trade yourself to 50 if you learn the market a bit. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Buy some carriers. There you go. Maybe that is the right answer. Start to trade a little bit. Buy 200 carriers. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, maybe just trade. Obviously, the trading takes longer. Like, you have to wait for things to happen. Although maybe it doesn't take longer, actually. It just takes more time than playing right now. Skazma, I was just about to finish. So you're right. You are very late joining. But thank you for watching back. And thank you for saying hi. Always appreciate people coming in. Just a little, hey, I'm here. What's up? Hit the like button. Oh, this is where I find out. How many likes do we have here? 47 watching right now, 31 likes. I guess from a percentage standpoint, that's pretty good. Not bad. Not bad. But I am going to go now because I got stuff to work on, including one that is a topic for later this week. I'm going to try to figure out which day to do that. I don't know. We'll see. But again, that one, I have a very big conversation that I want to have basically with myself in front of a camera that I'm going to share with all of the members of my Patreon first. If you want to get in on that, patreon.com/Andrew M. Laird. Make sure you do that. Thank you also to MFL, the Metaverse Football League, for sponsoring this podcast, this stream, whatever we call it. If you're interested in getting involved, there's a link in the description of this video. I also have an entire YouTube channel called MFL with Laird that will show you all about the game. It's cool stuff. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. I'll be back tomorrow with Harry Trades, I think around this same time. Or if you're watching back, maybe it'll be the same time when you listen. But anyway, check that out. Thank you everybody for coming. Look, I'm going to end up doing a trading show, aren't I? Anyway, Andreas, thank you for all of the food for thought. And yeah, everyone, make sure you get outside.